Okay, and on to passage 2, the growth of bike sharing schemes around the world. So let's see what we've got. Match the information to the paragraphs, often very difficult. These kind of multiple choice where you don't choose one but you choose two, another one of those, and a summary without a box. Alright, so this is actually looks kind of like a passage 3. Very often they have this format in passage 3, the summary, some kind of multiple choice. Usually in passage 3 they'll have the normal multiple choice and then matching information. So we've done a lot of these in Cambridge 11, 12, 13. If you've watched those videos, you'll know the strategy for this, but if you haven't, then I'll tell you the strategy. What you need to do with this is most definitely you're going to start with this. And then, very often, when they have the combination of this question type with the summary, very often there is one of these is actually also, that information is actually also in the summary. I've seen it happen so many times. So hopefully we'll be able to get these 4, and then at least that will help us with one of these. And then another important thing with this combination, as I'll explain later, is they try and use all paragraphs and spread their questions out. So once we see where they take this from, we will be able to eliminate a few paragraphs. Anyway, so what we're going to start with is this. The first urban bike sharing scheme. Now we're going to look for some good, strong scanning words. We've got some capital letters over here. So that's immediately what I would start with. And maybe there's Provo again and Schimmelpenninck over there. So let's see if we can go and find those. One thing to notice is just look at the meaning. It's the first scheme, so maybe it's somewhere at the beginning of the passage, possibly. Not always, of course. So we're looking for Provo, Dutch, and immediately we can see Provo over there. Dutch is over there. Keep on scanning. A good thing to notice is that this is 2 paragraphs. 1, 2. So usually that will be 2 paragraphs next to each other in the text. IELTS can skip a few paragraphs, but usually they don't. Alright, so we also have Dutch over there. There's Schimmelpenninck over there. I'm a bit worried about Schimmelpenninck because it's over there, so it might be everywhere. Same with Dutch. Provo is probably the strongest one. More Provo over there. So then just scan a little bit further. There's Schimmelpenninck over there, but I don't see Provo. I don't see Dutch. So my first guess, there's no Provo. So my first guess would be that we are looking at these 2 paragraphs over here. Then let's try and confirm that. What else are we going to look for? First bike sharing scheme, a group, maybe group. Damage to the environment, something about the environment's probably pretty good. Attention to these issues, there's nothing strong here. We're looking for unique words. White, painting some bikes white. That's quite unusual. You won't see that everywhere. Painting bikes white. Handed out, something about cars. Notice a however, maybe that will be useful. Not a success, something negative, symbolic. Okay, nothing really there. So let's try and find environment, painting white cars. And then you just got to scan for those environment, painting white cars. I see painted over there and white. That's very helpful. Dangers of cars. All right. So that means something about environment. Can you see anything about environment? They don't say the word environment. They give an example. So that's the environment over there. Great. So now we know where everything is. So we can really focus on answering these questions. So the first scheme was this group Provo. The people who belong to this group, the group is Provo, were what? Now, we need to check the grammar as well. This could be an adjective or it could be a noun. If it's a noun, it's probably going to be plural or uncountable. So let's take a look. The people who belong to this group were something. Provo, the organization that came up with the idea, was a Dutch group of activists who wanted to change society. So we're looking for an adjective or a plural noun. Can you see it? It's not going to be an adjective in this case. It's all they've done is paraphrase that. They were Dutch activists. Provo was a group of Dutch activists. The people who belonged to Provo were activists. So the grammar helped you a little bit there. You were looking for plural noun or uncountable noun, maybe adjective, but there's no adjectives here. If you struggled with it, don't worry about skipping it. Skip it and then you can come back to it later. We do need to find the easy ones first, but I think this one was quite straightforward. Let's skip and see if we can find the next one just to make sure. They were concerned about damage to the environment and about something. Now in passage 1, remember I said a lot about the structure in the passage reflects the structure in the text. So here they've got two things that they are concerned about. It's A and B. They believed the scheme, which was known as that, was an answer to the threats of air pollution and consumerism. Again, A and B. So that and, as we saw in passage 1, that and is exactly that and. So that pretty much gives you exactly what the answer is. Air pollution and what? Air pollution and there is your answer over there, consumerism. You knew that you were looking for a noun here because this is a noun phrase and then that's also got to be a noun. So I'm pretty confident about that one. Now sometimes they don't follow the order with these summaries. Sometimes they will take one somewhere that will not be in order. Usually it's in order, but just be careful. Sometimes one of them you have to go back. I don't know if it's this one. I'm just saying it's not always in order. So I'm pretty confident about this one now. It's somewhere before consumerism. The people who belong to this group were activists. If you go and look, you'll see it couldn't have been too many other things. All right, draw attention to these issues, as well as painting some bikes white. They handed out is we want to look for, something that condemned the use of cars. As well as handed out, condemned the use of cars. So they painted the small number of used bikes white. Can you see as well as? And there's condemning the use of cars. So we're looking for handed out and as well as, going to be somewhere in there. Not always, of course. They can change things around, but this would be the first place that you look. There's the as well as. And the handed out is over there. It's the verb. They handed out, they distributed. So it's actually just direct verb to verb. They handed out, they distributed. The and as well as they used also. What did they hand out? Plural noun or uncountable noun. They handed out leaflets. If you knew that handed out and distributed were the same, then that was pretty easy to find. Right. However, the scheme was not a great success. Almost as quickly as they left the bikes, the something took them away. The something took them away. So let's see if we can find, this is something negative, not a great success. Almost as quickly as they left the bike. So we're probably on to the next paragraph because the summary moves on to a new paragraph. Can you find the however? So here you don't need any of that. That's just introducing him. He was involved in it. He remembers how the scheme succeeded in a lot of attention. And however, there is our however. But, and there is the negative thing. It struggled to get off the ground. That was not a great success. Struggled to get off the ground. Why was it not a great success? Almost as quickly as Provo left the bikes, the something took them away. Why was it not a great success? There's your sentence over there. Almost as quickly, almost as soon as the bikes were distributed around the city, they took them away, removed them. So that is removed them is took them away. Who took them away? The text says they took them away. They removed them. Who is they? The police were opposed to the blah 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 blah, and as soon as, I'll actually highlight that because it's there, as quickly as, the police were opposed, this they is referring all the way back to the police. The is helps you a bit there, and police. Okay, I don't want to spend too much more time on that. I think it was quite straightforward. Everything was in order. They didn't go back. Sometimes they might go back for one of them. There was quite a lot of scanning language that you could find. Yes, they paraphrased it, but you know these paraphrases. They said something about air pollution. Here they said damage to the environment. There was also a lot of linking language, like the and over there, the however over there, the as quickly as over there, the as well as over there was an also. A lot of the linking language helped you to find where things were. So let's move on. What you want to do now is you want to go and see if there's anything, any one of these is mentioned in the summary. Don't worry if you don't see it immediately. A description of how they misused a bike sharing scheme. This is an important stage because you're going to need these keywords and keep them in your head. So go through this carefully now. Why it was turned down, rejected. A person being unable to profit, did not make money. Of course, this is all going to be paraphrased over here. Explanation of potential savings. Savings is about money as well, saving money. Reference to problems that it was intended to solve. So there is actually one of these is in the summary. Can you see it? There's no example of the people misusing it. I didn't see it was turned down. I didn't see anything about money. Both of those are about money. But the problems that it was intended to solve, those are right over there. Damage to the environment and consumerism. So this one was a bit difficult, but once again we see when we have the combination of these two question types, often one of these is actually in the summary and we've done it already. You don't have to answer this one immediately, but I would just put an A there for with a question mark. The problems it was intended to solve are these two problems over here. Very often we see that one of these is actually in the summary. Now you need to decide, are you going to continue with these or are you going to do these? And it's a difficult choice because they're both very difficult and you have to do a lot of reading, not scanning. Reading, these are reading questions, not only scanning. So I would say leave these until last because you're going to kind of do them together. You're going to go and do this question now, but in your mind you're going to keep these. Look at it again. People misused a bike sharing scheme. That's negative. A scheme was turned down, was rejected. Also negative. A person unable to profit. He didn't make money from their work. Potential savings, something about money, and we've done that one over there. Quite confident that that is A. So let's move on to these. Bear these in mind. Now, the difficult thing about this question type is you just need to find where they took it from. Once you find that, it's still difficult, but it really helps you a lot. You need to see which paragraph or paragraphs they took it from, and that will help you over there. So, immediately you're going to go and scan for Amsterdam Bike Sharing Scheme of 1999. It's probably not A and B, but of course scan. 1965, 10,000, 10%, mid-90s, that's not 1999. And there it is. A new Fietsenplan was launched in Amsterdam in 1999. However, I would advise that you look at the whole paragraph, not just this after here. And remember, it's quite possible that they continued into the next paragraph. So, unfortunately now it's not really scanning. That's why this question is difficult. You actually have to read. But try and read quickly. He never stopped believing. In the 1990s, 2 Danes asked for his help in Copenhagen. The result was the first one. It worked on a deposit. You dropped a coin in the bike. When you returned it, you got your money back. After that, this guy Schimmelpenninck tried to interest the Dutch Ministry of Transport. Times had changed. People became more environmentally conscious. And the Danish experiment proved that it was a possibility. So then they launched is a good word, launch a new program in 1999. However, there's a nice however. Riding a bike was no longer free. This was different, so they used a chip card. And they describe it over here. Special racks, 250 bucks. Can we see anything? It was initially opposed by the government department. So here is the government department, the Dutch Ministry of Transport. Initially opposed. Can you see anything here about initially opposed? This time he aroused their interest. I don't see it. Initially means at first. It failed when a partner withdrew support. I don't see anything about a partner withdrawing support. It aimed to be more successful than the Copenhagen scheme. They talk about the Copenhagen, but they don't want to. I don't see anything about being more successful. It was made possible by a change in people's attitude. And I do remember something about that when we see times had changed. People had become more environmentally conscious. And the Danish experiment proved that it was possible. So these 2 reasons proved that it was possible. So I would say yes for that one. People had a different attitude, and therefore that together with the Danish experiment showed that it was possible. So I would say yes for that one. It's attracted interest from a range of bike designers. No, I don't remember seeing that. Now, these are really difficult. Now you got to decide. Do we continue over there, or do we go on and do one of these? I would leave that, come back to it later. Let's see if we can find anything easy over here. Amsterdam today is what we're going to be looking for. And we see that over there. And then that's the last paragraph. So we know that those 2 are in here somewhere. So I would move on, do that one, come back to the other one later. Right, again, we have to read the paragraph, 38%. I'm not going to read it. I want to keep the video very short or fairly short, but it's up to you to read this now. Read it quickly. And then what are we looking for? The majority of residents would like to prevent all cars from entering the city. Little likelihood of the city having, there is little possibility, small possibility. More trips in the city are made by bike than by any other form of transport. Be careful when they use these all and every and nothing. If you want it to be all, it must say all in the text. Benefit residents who use public transport is a keyword. Place that welcomes cyclists. Reputation maybe. Okay. This is not easy. You have to go back and forth between the text and the questions. 38% of all trips are made by bike. That's obviously directed at this one. More trips are made by bike than any other form of transport. We don't know that. They just say 38%. They don't say, if this was more than 50%, yes, okay, but they don't say anything about the other forms of transport and how much they are. So that it's not that one. It is talking about Amsterdam is one of the 2 most cycle-friendly capitals in the world. One of the 2 most cycle-friendly capitals in the world, has a reputation as a place that welcomes cyclists. So yes, definitely that one. But, there's a but, notice all the howevers and the but. The city never got another plan. He believes this because everybody in Amsterdam already has a bike. He, however, thinks that this does not think it changes the need. Why doesn't he think so? People who travel on the underground, that's the metro, the tube, the subway, don't carry their bikes. But again, they often need additional transport to reach their final destination. Although, a lot of contrast markers here. It's strange that a city does not have a successful scheme. He is optimistic about the future. Alright, let's see if we can find anything. The majority would like to prevent all cars. I didn't see anything about all cars. Little likelihood. I didn't see that they're saying there is a small chance. We see that he is optimistic about the future. So that comes after this, although. So maybe it's that, but I don't see them saying that there is. This is what he thinks. There is a small chance. All they really say is that they never got another one. More trips. We decided it wasn't that one. A bike sharing scheme would benefit residents who use public transport. Can you see the public transport? The public transport is over there. The people who use the public transport, need additional transport to reach their final destination. So the bikes would benefit them because they go on the public transport and then they would need a bicycle to get to their final destination. Very, very difficult, I know. So it's that one. One way of attacking these would be by elimination. You must remove the ones where you can see that it's not, and then maybe have a guess. But yes, these two question types are very difficult. However, you didn't really need to tackle them immediately. What a different strategy would have been to just see where they come from, because that will help you with these over here. So let me explain what I mean. First we saw this, the summary, that came from there. Then we saw this one came from this paragraph over here, but we didn't find the other one, so I'm a bit suspicious it might also be that paragraph. Then we saw Amsterdam Today came from that paragraph over there. So at this stage now you're going to start scanning for these keywords over here, and it's a good idea to start with this paragraph, and this paragraph, because IELTS often tries to use all of the paragraphs. I'm not saying that there's nothing here in one of these two. I'm just saying we don't have much time. We need to go to the paragraphs where it is most likely. So that means when I start now with this one, I'm going to start scanning in paragraph C. You could have done this immediately. You didn't need to answer these. You could have just found where they come from and then start looking for these ones in these open paragraphs if you wanted to. So I'm going to concentrate now on C, D, and F. And again, you kind of got to read, half scan with this one. So what are we looking for? We're looking for how people misused a sharing scheme. A scheme was turned down. Someone was unable to profit. Some potential saving money. And then we're not going to look for that one. We found that one. And then you kind of got to read very fast. My idea, 10,000 bikes, calculations, would cost the municipality only 10% of what it contributed. So they would save a lot of money. So that one is quite clearly over there. So I'm happy with that. That's paragraph C. Let's continue. Nevertheless, remember these contrast markers. The council rejected the plan. They said that it belongs to the past, the future for the car. Can you see anything about rejected? A proposed bike sharing scheme was turned down. Turned down means rejected. So another one in C. Remember, they like to have at least one paragraph where they choose two. So they chose two from C, from paragraph C. One of the paragraphs that they did not use in the other questions. They used it a lot for this question type. Right, then we've got these two paragraphs over here. You're probably running out of time at this stage, but we don't have much to scan for. People misused the scheme, unable to profit. So this guy was a designer, we were testing, but notice the buts, we had to go through the ones we had. The system, however, was prone to vandalism and theft. There it is, straight after the however. People misused the scheme. Vandalism means they broke it, or they did graffiti on it or something, and theft, they stole it. So I'm quite confident the people misused the scheme. It's over there after the however. I would put D over there. And now we're looking for unable to profit. I would probably start over here because we've used that one now and we used C twice, so I would go straight to this one. Unable to profit, something about money, decisive moment, history, unexpected success, 20,000 bicycles, all muddled, but financially I did not benefit. Financially I was unable to profit. I didn't make money. Again, after the contrast marker, so happy to put F over there. At this stage, you probably just need to move on and guess, get on to passage 3. Can you see any one of these ones? I would probably, we couldn't find it here, so I would probably go and look for it over here. And as it turns out, it's this one. When a partner of the scheme withdrew support, notice the but a big blow came when they abolished the chip card, and then another but. The business partner lost interest, and there it is over there. So that one was B. All right, a very difficult paper, difficult question types, but just practice the strategy, and you should be able to get quite a few of them. So just to revise the important strategy points, start with the summary. They often use the summary together with this other question type. Start with the summary, get those marks. Then see if there's anything in this that is also in the summary. Very often it will get that. Then find where they take these from. That will give you some paragraphs that they have left open. You can do them immediately or you can come back to them later. But then go and look for these in these open paragraphs. You will find a few of them. And then it's just the last few marks. You got to go and read these and read these. See if you can find them. They paraphrase very heavily. Not very easy, but if you get used to following this strategy and you know exactly what you're going to do in what order, that will save you a lot of time. And you need time for this passage, especially this passage, because with these question types, you need to do a lot of reading, not scanning. Actual reading, and the reading takes time. Now, one last thing I just quickly want to point out about this is notice how many times an answer was introduced by a contrast marker. Here we have nevertheless, the council rejected the plan, and that is over here. The scheme was turned down, rejected. So nevertheless introduced important information over there. Same thing happened over here. The system, however, there's our contrast marker, was prone to vandalism and theft. Prone to vandalism and theft, people misused the scheme. Introduced by however. But the business partner lost interest is over here. A partner withdrew support. Introduced by but. Financially, I didn't benefit was over here. He was unable to profit. Introduced by but. But they often needed additional transport was over here. The scheme would benefit residents who used public transport. Introduced by the word but. So if I just make it smaller, we can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 answers in this were introduced by a contrast marker. Nevertheless, but, or however. So I've said it many times before, but just notice how contrast markers introduce important information. Great. Passage 3 coming soon.